So hello everyone. Still we are in the process of admitting people, and those of you who are named by the names of the phones or some other users or any other cases, so please rename yourselves. You know how to do it. So if you are meeting with us from laptop, so you can click on 3 dots on the video. And rename, choose the option renaming, and Dasha has the option how to do it from the laptop, right, Dashul? You can show. Dash, we don't hear you.
Yeah, just give me a second. So yeah, this is a version for laptop, and you can find your picture or you can find yourself on our participants list. And if you're using your smartphone, it would be great. Yes, it's like an instruction for our participants who cannot hear us yet, but it's okay. And for the phone, again, find this participants icon, choose rename below the raise hand option.
And put your name in Latin letters, please.
Yes, that was I going to add. Thank you, Jill. Please rename from Cyrillic letters to Latin ones, right?
We do have a colleague who can read Cyrillic, but she's not with us right now.
Okay, I'm stop sharing this rename.
Jill, who's that?
Helping hand.
Faith.
Oh.
Faith studied in Russia. But, still have some. I'll put that in the chat for the people.
I had to mute my husband who was talking silly to the dog. My husband is a teacher, not of English.
Well, math is almost as important as English.
Math is important, I guess.
So, dear participant, just remember to rename yourself in Latin letters, and it would be nice if you add your name, surname, maybe place of your school or living. It will make our communication like more comfortable and friendly. If you don't know how to do it, just give me or Galia like sign in the private messages, and we will help you.
Yeah, I've already changed Ivan Martoflak to Latin letters because I know
Okay.
he's not going to be offended, you know.
Yeah, that's right. The hosts can do it too, can't we?
We could be naughty co-hosts.
Am I a co-host?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I could.
Jill, you're the co-hostess with the co-mostess.
Right. A lot of interesting names coming up as people join. I see some familiar faces and names here. So who's going to open the meeting? Is it you, Galia, or Dasha?
Maybe Natalochka.
Natalia? Natalia's got her Video turned off.
Okay, maybe Galusa, we can start if
Sure.
GoGlobal team is silent. So, okay, so it's our mission to start, dear Jill. So, dear colleagues, volunteers, and participants, our campers, participants of speaking clubs, you are the most welcome to the great event today because we've got a great pleasure and opportunity to meet fantastic people.
Absolutely, great pleasure. And we had the most pleasure to become more familiar because just half an hour ago we started. And this is Dr. Jill Robin, this is Kate, and this is Gregory. I'm not going to talk a lot about you guys because you will do it in a more interactive way, right? So welcome to our meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll begin by sharing my screen here. So we work at Voice of America Learning English. I believe some of you are familiar with our website, but for those who are not, we're going to begin with a brief introduction to our website. Our first speaker is going to be Katie Weaver. She is an international broadcaster, and she's going to begin by telling us a little bit about Voice of America from several years back when she started. I am a language learning specialist, and I'll be talking about some of our teaching activities. And then Gregory Stockel is a relatively new employee, and he's a multimedia journalist. And he'll be talking about some of the new platforms where we are working. So our goals for the meeting today are to share what we do at our jobs at VOA Learning English, to talk about changes in how we use technology to teach English, and here's the real treat, a secret behind the scenes view of our work, and we'll answer your questions about VOA Learning English. So this is our homepage. As you can see at the top, it shows that there are 3 levels. You can also test your English on our homepage from the first link there. And then we have a beginning, intermediate, and advanced level. We're actually going to be revising this in the near future to align with the CEFR scale of language proficiency. Below the first list of links, you can see Let's Learn English with Anna in your language. We have 8 languages now, and this is a course for beginning learners of English from 8 to 12 years old. So it's really fun and interactive, and you'll see a little clip from it later. After that, you can see lessons of the day. So every day we have a feature story on a particular topic. This is from a Monday, so the lesson was a health and lifestyle article about planting flowers in a container. To the right of that are a few of the other features for that day. So each day there are 4 or 5 new things on our website. So new things to read, listen to, and learn from. We have news stories and stories about people. You may have heard of Voice of America going way back in the past, maybe when your parents were listening to the radio instead of watching TV. So that was a focus on news. But now we have a lot of other interesting stories about health and lifestyle, science and technology, arts and culture. And all of the stories that are on our website have an audio file, so you can read the story and you can listen to it at the same time. There are also quizzes on some of the stories. We really like teaching grammar, at least some people like teaching grammar. I don't, but We have grammar, we teach vocabulary. There are also short stories. Our American Stories series has short classic stories from American literature. And then we have a kind of a question and answer column, the Ask a Teacher column. So you can see there's quite a lot of variety. We have 3 English courses, and I was lucky enough to be involved in creating these courses. Let's Learn English Level 1 has 52 lessons, so a whole year's worth of lessons, and those include lesson plans for teachers and quizzes and activity sheets for students, all kinds of things. Let's Learn English Level 2 has 30 lessons, and again, lesson plans and activity sheets and quizzes and videos that are very fun and engaging. We're working now on Let's Learn English with Anna in your language. We have 25 out of 40 lessons that have been produced so far. So those are on our website. We have some programs for specific aspects of learning, like how to pronounce and how to improve your vocabulary, news words, words in their stories. The example here is raise a red flag. And you can see an image there of red flags showing a storm is coming. So you can learn words in context and with related words in that series. That's kind of an advanced section. And news words is at a simpler level. So you just learn one word at a time there. And here are some of our short videos. These are from 1 minute to 5 minutes, and they teach one idiom or one grammar point. The English at the Movies teaches an expression, and these are expressions that you might have seen in memes on social media. It's very interesting to find out about those. VOA 60 is the news from around the world in 1 minute. And then the news literacy course, it talks about things like real news versus fake news. And I know that in Ukraine now, this is a really important topic, is you are fighting against misinformation, right? You want to have information you can trust. The news literacy course will teach you about how to evaluate the things that you see online. How do you know what you can trust? And then we have social media platforms. We have a very active YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that, and as soon as a new video comes out on our website, it goes into the YouTube channel, into the playlist, and you can see a really wide variety of videos there. And then we have Instagram, and Greg's going to be telling you more about Instagram in a little bit. Where's VOA? We're in Washington, D.C., right in the middle, near the White House. You can see the White House is there. Here's the Capitol building, and we're right here. So when we are at work, it's sometimes very interesting. We can walk out, or even from our windows, we can often hear protests, people marching in the streets, or celebrations of one kind or another.
And motorcades. Don't forget motorcades.
Although sirens, lots of sirens. And people,
lots of presidential, vice presidential, all kinds of
people speeding by in their black cars.
Important people.
Right. In fact, one of our colleagues saw Bernie Sanders in the parking lot as she was walking to work one day, or he was parking his car in front of the Capitol. So, so we're very lucky. We can walk to a museum during our break or after work sometimes, and enjoy all of the cultural and artistic resources there. When we were making the Let's Learn English courses, we would walk out onto the mall and do filming there. We didn't have a permit though, so sometimes we got chased off of the mall because we didn't have a permit for filming. So we're going to now begin with my wonderful colleague, Katie Weaver. As you listen to Katie, Listen for the answers to these questions. You can see them on your screen. What was Katie's first job at VOA? How is her work different from that now? And what does she like about her job? Take it away, Katie.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. As Jill said, I'm Katie Weaver, and I have been with the Voice of America as a journalist since 1990. I actually got interested in the Voice because my sister was working there. At the time, I really wasn't much of a news reader or follower. Ouch. Oh, sorry, my cat just got my feet. I wasn't all that interested in journalism, but I was interested in this learning English, which was then called special English, you all might remember, which, you know, provided news and feature material and information around the world to people around the world in just a slightly simpler way. And we also spoke slower. It spoke most, you know, the announcers spoke more slowly so that people who were non-native English speakers or English learners could understand, non-native English speakers. So when I got there in 1990, we were only on the radio. And I think when I first started, I don't think we were even using the word processors yet. So that can give you an idea. I believe when I first started there, we were on typewriters. Do people know what that is? Do people know what a typewriter is? Anyway, and we were using just wire copy that came from our newsroom. And all I did for about 5 years was write newscasts, 10-minute newscasts that were then read live by an announcer. And, you know, 24, I think we ran them, they went everywhere. They went all over the world. And it was tricky, and I'll tell you why. Because your news story, each story could not be more than 10 lines of copy of about, you know, maybe 8 words to 15 words each line. So we're talking about basically, and we read it slowly. We read it 2/3 of the speed. We still do 2/3 of the speed of normal English speakers. So we would basically have 1 minute to tell an important news story, a news story of the day, a breaking news story. And the other limits we had were, we used a 1,500 word vocabulary. Jill, can you tell the people how many words are in the English language, please?
Oh gosh, 30,000?
Yes. And we were dealing with 1,500 words. That is our controlled language. And I don't know how they were chosen, but from the beginning, the idea behind what was then called special English was to just produce news, just to give people news, but just make it a little simpler and easier to understand if you didn't speak English, because we were broadcasting all over the world. And of course, you know, the American government wants to, you know, provide information. So that's how it was. That's how I started. And like I said, for like 5 years, that's all I did. And then, you know, the internet came about. And so that is when my work and the work of our office really exploded. Because then we could go and we could show you our words, and we could show you visuals. There were all these ways to help the audience, the non-native English speakers, with more cues, help you understand, help you learn the language. We did not call ourselves a teaching website or a teaching entity. We were not, that wasn't what we were supposed to do. But we knew after years and years, it went on VOA Special English started in 1959. So we had years of research that showed people were learning English. We would get long letters. You know, people, I've learned English just by listening over the radio, which is pretty remarkable. But we were certainly happy with the advent of the internet and of computers and all this connection to add to, you know, to add to what we could offer. And that's when we started doing videos and actual teaching. And we started hiring teachers and people with teaching experience that we hadn't done before. So that is when we started doing very fun videos, and not everything was news-based anymore. It was still all authentic material. But all of a sudden we could do some creative stuff, like some of the fun videos we have for younger folks. And, you know, we try to make all of our products accessible to all of our users. But it's a little tough because we got different ages, we got different backgrounds, we've got, you know, all these different languages, different points that people are in their English. So try to make it work for everybody. But internet really helped that. I mean, internet and video and all that came with it. And so that's when I slowly went from writing newscasts to writing features, to editing features, to learning how to voice. And I'm not great at it, but learning how to voice for radio and learning how to present on television. It was a long process. And at the same time, I don't know about other people in the office, but I was also trying to learn a little bit more about how to actually instruct in English. So my job after a few years, and our jobs at Learning English became very dynamic and exciting, and just the wealth of resources that the online aspect brought. And so what I do now is basically that. I produce shows, I write shows, I edit people's work. What else do I do, Jill? I work with other language services.
You're a good cheerleader.
And I'm a cheerleader.
You encourage your colleagues to keep working hard.
I try to keep that.
Maybe talk about where you're working now. What location are you working in?
Well, right now I'm at home, and since the pandemic, everybody basically went home, except for our engineers and people who run the actual broadcast, you know, operations. They kind of had to be there. And the good thing of, I mean, there was nothing really good about the pandemic, except that we learned we can do a lot from home. We can reach people, we can make videos, we can pretty much do everything that we did before. And then plus we have the comfort of being at home, which is
with our little friends.
With our little furry friends, of whom I have many. I don't know, is it big in Ukraine? Are pets big? Do people like their animals? I'm not sure, but they're big here in the United States. And so actually all of my animals have deserted me. They're all sleeping.
Here, I'll show my little friend here.
Oh, he's so cute. Oh my
This is
gosh.
Aria. She keeps me company.
So that's all. I think, I don't know how long I spoke for. Jill, you're supposed to time me and keep me on.
Okay, so now how about if we share some of those funny videos that you mentioned?
Oh yeah, let's go for it. I'm not doing that though, right? You do it.
Yep.
Okay. Jill knows that I'm completely incompetent as far
So-
as running off, these things.
This first one is an example of some of the videos that Katie made with Ana Mateo about teaching English. And this one is about giving clear instructions when you teach.
Okay, Katie.
Can you
drop
guys see
the
that?
oars
Okay.
in the water. Oh, no, wait. First, lock the oars in place and then drop them in the water.
So sometimes you have to give your instructions clearly if you want your students to do the right thing. And then this is a clip from our Let's Learn English course where Katie is playing a producer of a TV show. See if I do this, can you still see
Hello,
it?
and welcome to the news. In Indiana, a grandmother is the first 80-year-old woman to win the Race Car 500. That is awesome.
Stop. Stop. Anna, please. No feelings.
Right. But it is awesome that an 80-year-old grandmother wins a car race.
Just the facts, Anna.
Just the facts. So as you
And
can
that
see,
is something that we actually have to tell each other sometimes when we're writing actual news for actual news shows. Just
Yeah.
the facts, keep your feelings out of it, use active voice, subject, verb, object, say what happened. Don't say what you feel about what happened. The one other
Right.
thing I want to say about my work is that and journalism in general this is usually the case. I got to travel, and even before I got to travel, I got to go out in communities and talk to people and have conversations and learn things from them, and then write about it. And that is genius. That's a really I just studied myself. I just studied English literature in college. I didn't study journalism or anything like that. But when you get your base, when you learn how to read and write, and then you can pretty much, that's what journalism is all about, like listening, seeing, and then communicating it. So reading and writing, very important to it. But one of the great things is the travel. I got to travel to Bangladesh 2 years in a row, and I got to go to the world's largest refugee community in Cox's Bazar, why am I blanking? Oh my gosh, the Rohingya refugee camp there. And I got to help people trying to set up learning centers there, and some were, and we basically were training in good ways, helpful methods for teaching English to the young. I also got to do fun stuff. Like I got to go, not that wasn't fun, but I got to drive cross country on Route 66 and, show people a little part of, Americana, an important part. So the travel and the getting out there aspect is also just, I'm so grateful for that and feel so lucky.
as the kids would say, I was so jelly about you going on Route 66.
You were jelly.
But really
Jill and I
to.
are dating ourselves because they don't use jelly anymore, probably. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope that wasn't.
Now we're going to give you the quiz, and Dasha is going to share the Mentimeter. I think you guys have used Mentimeter before. We have a few questions. Hopefully you can answer them about
Yes.
Katie.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Jill. So the link is in the chat box, so please join our quiz. And there are several questions about Katie's story. So let's check how attentive you were.
Yeah, check and listen comprehension.
Yeah, for sure, Galuis.
Now Katie's got her kitty that she's cat sitting.
So remember that you can join our survey, our quiz from the chat box following the link, or also you can just enter the address menti.com and enter the code you can see on your screen. So only 8 answers. Come on, guys.
Yeah, be more active. Try to remember. So what was that first job of Katie?
And again, it's not a
Am I allowed to
test.
give a hint?
No hints. Helena has
oh.
we have in the chat the answer.
Maybe I'll
and
risk
right,
it. Maybe I'll tell them, if you guys don't get it right, I'm gonna make you listen to it again. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
idea to listen twice at least.
I will say that's an important aspect of learning how to write in our special style. It is repetition is actually considered very good. Most journalists would say that you wouldn't want to do that, but repetition is good for people who are learning language. So I might say the same thing in a news story. I might write it 3 slightly different ways, but use a lot of the same words. And that repetition is
Yeah.
important to learning.
Yeah, you see in the picture on the slide is really tricky. Because too many people just believe us. Okay, I believe it's high time just to show the correct
Pretty
answer.
well.
Okay.
And it's right, Katie, is it true?
Yep, that's right. But I will say that people, I mean, I was writing for radio newscasts. I didn't announce the stories back then. I didn't actually broadcast until later. But so I do want to say that those who said radio announcer, they're not quite wrong. I was writing radio scripts.
Yeah, I remember 10 lines, 500 words. It's just an amazing fact. Okay, move on to the next question. And again, now, what's now? I would like just to enter the link to the chat box one more time. Maybe somebody has skipped his or her chance to join us. So please.
So
don't
people
lose
just entered.
Just to
Oh, I see.
motivate more people to participate.
So it takes some time to read, to make decision.
Come on, guys. I will know how effective a communicator I am.
Just the facts.
There's the facts, ma'am.
Okay, we've got 25 answers. Fantastic. Thanks for being so active, dear participants. 26. 27. Praise it works. Okay, and maybe 3, 2, 1. Here. So shall we wait for 30 answers? Just like an auction.
Going, get your answers in now.
Oh, Rotash wants the Mentimeter code. It's on the screen, on the shared screen. Rotash.
908589.
Yes, it's in the chat box as well.
Oh, okay. But sometimes
Okay.
you can copy.
So 28, 29. One more, please.
Let's get 30. Let's make it even, folks.
Fantastic. You see, our participants are just brilliant. So, and the correct answer is...
So I'd say everyone got it right because,
Yeah.
you know, they're both true. Good job, folks.
And one more question.
The most difficult one.
Well, it is, especially because I didn't follow a script, so don't get.
And if I'm not mistaken, there is an option to choose several answers. I believe, I hope. But who knows, life happens.
That's great. I've never heard of these Mentimeters. This is really cool.
It is.
Yeah, we love it so much. Okay, 22 answers, fantastic.
Great.
And pets
And-
are the
And
leader.
there's two photos of Katie from Bangladesh in this
Yeah.
question too, with some of the teachers that she was working with there.
Yeah, and Ivan has mentioned something in the chat box.
Yes.
Katie, do you agree with him or not?
Pardon
Yvonne
me?
says all these answers are correct. You're right,
Yes.
Yvonne.
There are probably more answers. I actually do like my job a lot.
Yeah. We fell into a tub of butter.
Mhm. It is hard though. It's demanding. It's a demanding job because
But
it's so
that's
deadline oriented, because we do still do these a show every single day, a half an hour show that we have to have. It's demanding, but that's
Oh, I didn't mean it was easy.
No,
It's
I
just
know
I
you
enjoy it because it's hard.
yes. But tub of butter, that sounds easy.
Just trying to teach another English idiom there.
Absolutely.
So you see, and there is this button shows the correct answer. It means that Ivan is right, actually.
Yeah, and Alana added her answer that all answers are true.
Okay, so we're ready to switch?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, so you heard about Katie, and now let's go on to
Okay,
the next slide here. These are questions about my talk. You should listen for the answer about what do applied linguists do? How many languages have I studied? And why do I love my job? So I started at Voice of America in 2014. I am an applied linguist, and I was one of the first two people hired specifically as English teachers at Voice of America. Let's see, I'm going to stop sharing and just show me now. Yeah, there we go. And so as one of the first two people hired to be English teachers at Voice of America, my boss said, maybe you should have people call you Dr. Jill so that people realize you're an expert in this stuff. So that's my screen name, Dr. Jill. And I got a degree in applied linguistics from Georgetown University, which is in Washington, D.C. And so you might ask, what is applied linguistics? It's the study of how to best use our knowledge about how language works. So many people who study applied linguistics go into language teaching, but nowadays they might be even more likely to go into working with computers and artificial intelligence systems, things like voice recognition. You know how when you call on the phone and you tell a computer what you want, that requires voice recognition on the part of the computer. Or artificial speech production, when you talk to your device and you say, Alexa, do this or that, right? And the device, the assistant device talks back to you. It's artificial speech production. So it's a pretty wide range of jobs that are possible for people who study applied linguistics. Now, people often ask linguists, how many languages do you speak? And not all linguists really like to study a lot of languages, but some schools, some programs in linguistics require you to study an Indo-European language and then a non-Indo-European language or an indigenous language, just so that you understand the variety of ways that people have constructed languages over the years. So I've studied 13 different languages myself. The latest one I'm working on is Persian. Persian
Blacker.
uses Persian uses a version of the Arabic syllabary, or abjida is what they call it, the Arabic alphabet. And I'm studying online with a teacher in Kabul. Before I came to Voice of America, I had a variety of jobs that are related to language learning and teaching. One was to develop language tests. So for the government, for example, they have to test people who are going into foreign service, and they have developed tests in many different languages. The test I was working on was for Haitian Creole. You may not have heard of Haitian Creole, but that's what they speak in Haiti, along with French. I also worked had a job where I was training foreign language teachers to help their students become better learners. And that was actually a government-funded organization. We did summer workshops for language teachers there. And then I taught English as a foreign language in places like, well, the US, but also Japan, China, Saudi Arabia, and now Ukraine. So I love my job because it lets me meet people from all over the world and learn about their cultures and languages, even without leaving home. But I like the leaving home part of it too. Now that I'm working at Voice of America as a language learning specialist, I started out by making lesson plans for our American Stories series. I made and reviewed quizzes, and then I planned courses like Let's Learn English. My boss asked me to start a new series called Everyday Grammar. And now we have Everyday Grammar TV, and it's a really popular series. My next big project after all of that was a course for people learning English in Ukraine. Surprise! The president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, sent a group of scholars to the United States in 2015 to find out good ways to teach English. And now we're producing the third level of that course, Let's Learn English with Ana Mateo, for learners from 8 years and up. And the newest part of my job is teacher workshops and student webinars like this. I also work on our social media services like YouTube and Instagram. And Greg's going to talk a little bit more about that. But let me just go back briefly to our slides. And I'll show you, here is an example of here's the Persian alphabet. This is what I had to learn to study Dari, the Persian language spoken in Afghanistan. And here is a little clip that shows the magic of our videographers, our video producers. This is Everyday Grammar TV.
Do you have more examples from the diary?
Yes, here's another one. I had been sitting in jail for 8 hours before my husband came to pay the fine. So the video producers made it look like I was in jail. I wasn't really in jail.
She was in jail. She's a hardened criminal.
So now let's switch to Dasha and the questions on Mentimeter.
Just give me a second to put the link in the chat box again. And I'm going to share my screen and just move to one new question. So
what do applied linguists do?
Okay, answers are coming. Okay, 24. Come on, guys, stop Googling. Just answer.
And for our students who are with us, have you heard about linguistics before? Be interesting if you wanted to put into the chat whether you're interested in linguistics.
And while we're waiting the answers, it just can show the correct one.
Oh yes, okay. So we have an answer. Yes, I'm interested. Yeah. All right. Shall we look at the next question?
Okay.
By the way, the little chart that you saw there, the sentence diagram, that was a famous one by Noam Chomsky, a linguist who really modernized the study of linguistics. So this question is, how many languages have I studied?
Yeah, a lot of participants remember that a lot of languages, but how many exactly? That's the question.
Okay, let's wait for some seconds. But Jill, the sky is the limit. So
It's like most
Well,
people, right?
they say that learning languages will help to prevent Alzheimer's. So as I get older, I'm just going to keep learning languages over and over. Yeah.
There is
And if I
always,
forget them, I'll start over and learn them again. Yeah.
yes, there is always a room for improvement, right?
We all need that
Okay.
mental stimulation. So the correct answer,
All right. Good job, man.
13. And there is a word called hyperpolyglot. Maybe I'll put that into the chat. A hyperpolyglot. You've heard of a polyglot, right? A person who speaks more than one language or two languages. A hyperpolyglot is a person who speaks more than 11 languages.
Oh my
So-
God, you're a hyper polyglot.
Hyperpolyglot.
And do we have
It's
a
hard to say.
super polyglot?
Super hyper polyglot.
And the last question for this section is, why do I like my job? You probably know that the teachers in the United States are not really paid as they should be. Nobody's picking the first option there.
Very similar situation to Ukraine,
Pretty much teachers around the world, I think, but it is, it's not going to make you rich. Except in your heart.
But Katie and Greg know that I do love to play with tech toys. There is a grain of truth in that.
If she had not been an applied linguist, I think she would have been a computer geek. I mean, she is a computer geek, but she would have been in that line of work. Don't you think, Jill? I think you might have been in that line of work if you were.
My weakness in math kind of prevented me from studying computer science in college, but I wish I had.
But there's so many similarities between learning math and learning a language, I think. I think there are a lot of similarities.
Oh, yeah.
You could have, I'm sure, you know, you could have gotten it. We were born too early. That's our problem.
Right.
And we've got a lot of correct answers on the
Good
live
job.
slides. So fantastic.
Great. Okay. Now, the thing you might have been waiting for, our secret behind the scenes tour.
Do you have more examples?
Not that one. Let's keep going. Here we go.
Wait, what
Okay.
about Greg though?
Well, we're going to get to Greg after this.
Oh, okay.
And Greg, don't worry about the time. We're going to be able to go past the top of the hour. I think our organizers have told us. So here's a little video behind the scenes. This is my cubicle. I come in to work here once a week. I try to make it comfortable. I like to sit on a ball sometimes to work on my laptop, and I like to watch the TV from Japan. This is NHK News, so I can refresh my memory of Japanese and find out what's going on there. Let's go down the hall to our studio. So this is an old studio. Let's turn on the lights here. There's a lot of equipment in here. I have no idea what this does because we don't really use it anymore. Let's see if you can guess what this is. So I'm going to pause here. Okay, so let's see if you can guess what is this machine. You can put it in the chat if you think you know what that is.
You should ask students because some
Students,
teachers
just
know
students,
it
yes.
pretty well. Yeah.
Some of those old teachers who were around when they were still using them, right?
I just want to say I work here and I have no idea what that is. I really don't know how it
Well,
works.
I spent many years on that thing, so I know.
Okay, so let's check the chat here. Okay, a gramophone.
Maybe
Is
not
it a
so.
record player? Okay. Helene
what?
says a tape recorder. Samukcha is a record player.
Daria. Her name is Daria.
Daria. Okay, and then Helena says a tape recorder. Lisa says maybe it's a recorder. Okay. Good guesses there. You see it has these big reels on it. And there's the name. It's a reel-to-reel tape recorder. So the tape goes from one side to the other side. The other reel's missing, but tape goes across and it records and plays back audio. But this is the control panel that we use if we're going to be recording. There's another room next door here. Let's go over, we'll see that. So these are the microphones connected to the computer there. And you could have 3 people who are speaking at the same time. Sometime on our podcast, you might hear a couple of people having a conversation. Back in the old days, we would do it here. But now they can be in different places and we can put their conversation together. So it sounds like they're in the same room. And this is what we have at our homes. This is a microphone with a little baffle around it. This is a guard so that you don't have your popping peas. And this plugs into a laptop. So we can bring our laptop in here and we can make a recording directly to our laptop. And this is how we make our recordings at home now. So this is our green screen studio, and this is where the magic happens. When I make the Let's Learn English with Anna videos, I stand here, and our wonderful video producer, Roger, uses his big camera to film me, and then he puts all kinds of funny things behind me. So the green screen is back here, and that makes it easy to add other pictures behind the person who's speaking. Hello, I'm Dr. Jill. Welcome to Let's Learn English with Anna. Today we talk about places in your town. Does it have a post office?
and a bank? Do you live near a fire station or library? So this is our colleague Ana Mateo's desk.
So there you could see all of the things that could go on behind the speaker when they're in front of the green screen. Now I came to the desk of Ana Mateo to see these secret props. Oh, no, here we go. Go back there.
All handmade.
Her handmade cardboard props, really
Colleague, yep, our colleague.
high
does.
tech there.
She makes beautiful
So
stuff.
this is our colleague Ana Mateo's desk, and she likes to make props for the lessons that we have in Let's Learn English. This was the props for when she had a devil and an angel on her shoulders, and they were telling her to buy unhealthy food in the store or healthy food in the store.
I should eat more vegetables.
Good idea, Anna. You must eat more vegetables, like celery.
Celery? Do you know what the web says about celery?
No, what?
Celery is 95% water, 100% not ice cream. I love the web.
Anna, you mustn't eat junk food. Junk food will kill you.
You are being silly.
No, you are.
No, you are.
Will you two please be nice to each other? It is important to eat healthy foods, but a little junk food will not kill me. Put me down!
I love these old style escalators in our building. And I really like this hallway with all of the flags. These represent the different countries and regions that we broadcast to.
Okay, so there you actually saw Anna in the green screen studio making that clip where in the lesson. All right, so how'd you like the behind the scenes tour?
Yeah, it was amazing, and I noticed that you were wearing vyshyvanka, Ukrainian blouse, or maybe it's like ours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was really similar to ours. I don't know
Oh,
where
the blue shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Great.
I want one.
Now let's listen to Greg and try to find the answers to these questions. What did Greg study at Ohio State University? What was his first job at VOA? And what does he do now that is different from the other people that he works with?
Hi, everyone. My name is Gregory Stockel. I am one of the newer employees at VOA Learning English, and I am also the youngest one in our group. I have been with VOA now for a little over 2.5 years, and it was my first job after studying at university. I studied international relations and diplomacy at Ohio State University. I first learned about Voice of America there in one of my Cold War diplomacy courses. I learned that VOA was created during World War II and rose to importance during the Cold War. It was created by the United States government to provide accurate news and information to audiences abroad. It was first created to counter Nazi propaganda and then to counter communist propaganda. But it still keeps the goal of being a reliable source of news to people living under totalitarian regimes or regimes that do not provide freedom of information. So that's a bit of why the agency was created, and also maybe kind of explains the different public diplomacy aspects of our work, like visiting other countries and working with other countries. So while I was in school, I was a part of an internship program in Washington, D.C., virtually during the pandemic. I was brought on as an intern and I worked under Jill, Dr. Jill, during my last semester at school. I was given smaller projects like working on some of our simpler series like Ask a Teacher. And I was also given the responsibility of part managing Instagram. And I also joined on Talk to Us, which was a talk show that we had that we used to host. After my internship experience, they brought me on as an employee a few months later. There definitely was a bit of a learning curve. So I had to catch up to where everyone else was. People like Jill and Katie are experts in their field, and they have been working for 30 plus years in this field. And it was, you know, comparing myself to them is probably not fair, but I wanted to catch up. And also, I had a degree that did not necessarily prepare me for journalism, which is something I think both Jill and Katie can relate to. A lot of us have very different backgrounds, but we all come together, and I think that is what creates our material special. And during my first year, I got used to our style of writing. We have this unique style, which I will show you in the next slide so you can get used to the way that we write and you can see what it looks like. And now one of my main responsibilities is adapting pieces into our learning English style. So we take pieces from other news sources like the Associated Press and Reuters, and then we write it into our style. And Jill's gonna show you an example of that.
But first, let's see your voicing talents.
Yeah. Oh, also, yeah, I voice for Let's Learn English with Anna. I am the mailbox. And just so you know, I am supposed to sound sad in this clip. It wasn't a bad day at work or anything like that.
Okay. Oops, wait a minute. Not that one. This one. There we go. Hello, Anna.
Hi, Max.
I have our question from the teacher.
Max, what is wrong? Are you okay?
Yes, I guess.
How old are you? How old are you? Max, what is wrong?
I feel sad. I do not know my age. Okay, so what depth of feeling Greg was able to communicate, even though we couldn't see his face.
Yeah, so I'm Max, the mailbox. Max is kind of like the computer for the series, and I voice Max from home. I do that from home, and then they change my voice with computers to make it sound more like a robot. And I also, I haven't gotten there quite yet, but I also manage Instagram for work, which I think Jill has mentioned a few times. So this is a clip that I was part of and prepared for Instagram, so you can have an idea of something that goes out.
Hi everyone, it's Greg with Learning English. I'm going to ask some of my coworkers what their favorite puns are. A pun is a wordplay with multiple meanings.
Hi, it's Ashley. My favorite pun is never trust an atom. They make up everything.
Hello, this is Anna from the Cohen Building. You know, I have something to say to the person who invented zero. Thanks for nothing. Get it? That's a pun. Figure it out, put it in the comments below.
Hi, it's Dory. My favorite pun has to do with Mexican food and the weather. And the pun is, it's chilly today, but hot tamale.
Those were some of our coworkers, and it's vertical. So for Instagram, our videos need to be vertical, which goes against literally every video that we do. So sometimes it can be tricky making videos for Instagram because we like to do horizontal or landscape because it's better for television, but it needs to be vertical ideally for Instagram.
So before we get into the adapting part, let's answer some questions on Mentimeter.
Yes, I'm ready. Just the first question about Greg is coming, and Here it is.
So what did Greg study at Ohio State University?
All participants believe in you, Greg. So if you
I
haven't
know.
with some, so you have to do that.
The other chosen answers are also related to what I learned. I learned French in school as well, and international affairs is a bit like political science, maybe like international politics, I guess, could be included.
I'm sure you took some poli-sci of some kind, right, Greg? I'm sure you did.
You know, actually, I don't think I did.
But anyway, you're a much better communicator than I am. You and Jill, because look how good everybody did really well. Look at that. Yeah, 22 people.
All right, you guys got it. Yep, that was my degree and really enjoyed it. So
Next question. Okay.
So what was Greg's first job at VOA? And for you students, there's a possibility of you having this job too.
yes, we have an internship program. So when you're in university and if you're studying anything related to teaching English or international affairs, journalism, you can apply to be an intern with us.
Not just with not just with the Learning English, but with the other Voice of America.
We have other divisions too, and I think we have a Ukrainian division, so you could join that if you'd like.
Okay, everybody did really well here.
Greg's good.
I did mention that I worked with social media when I was an intern, so for that one person, that is understandable. The voice actor part, that was a part that series with Learning English was when I was full-time, when I was an employee, just so you know.
And once more.
I didn't
Okay, what does
exactly
Greg
touch
do?
on this, but you can go ahead and answer.
What does Greg do now that is different from the other people that he works with? Well, you can compare what he said to what Katie and I said.
I believe our participants are super attentive. And nobody believes in health and lifestyle stories.
I
Do not let him do that.
Yeah, we all do that, yeah.
Okay, 23 answers, 24, fantastic. Maybe one more. And
You won 25, right? 25
yeah.
answers.
Done.
But I'm flexible. Okay, 24 is a great number as well. So
good job.
I also did mention that I appear in the Let's Learn English series with Anna, so I think that one is also correct. And I really enjoy writing the international affairs pieces, but we do not have a section specifically for international affairs, but I really do enjoy writing those.
Yeah, maybe if we did, we would let Greg head it up.
Okay, now we'll go back to the section about adapting that you were going to share.
So a large part of what we do is adapting. Many of our news pieces that go out are adapted. So that means that they're taken from one source and a more typical journalistic language in English, and then we write it again in our style. So here is an example from a piece I recently wrote. So the original sentence was, thousands of popular Reddit communities dedicated to topics ranging from Apple Inc. to gaming and music locked out their users on Monday in protest against the company's plan to charge for access to its data. Reddit is a social media site and app, if you're not familiar with it. And then I rewrote it as thousands of popular Reddit communities, including groups about technology, gaming, and music, locked out their users this week in protest. People who organize the communities, called moderators, are protesting the company's plan to charge for access to its data. So I highlighted two very clear differences between the two, and that would be I changed dedicated to topics ranging from to including groups about. Including groups about is very similar meaning, but a lot simpler, doesn't use a higher vocabulary word like dedicated or topics.
Arranging.
Arranging. Yeah, these are higher words that we don't really have in our, so we talked about the word book earlier. Dedicated topics and ranging are not in our word book. So I'm not allowed to use those words when I write. So I changed it to including groups about because we have those words and it's easier to understand.
And because it's better, actually, it's better writing. You made it better. Even for even for native English speakers, it's simpler and it's straightforward.
Yeah, a big push that's happening in the United States right now is to really simplify our language to make it easier for everyone to understand. Sometimes writers like to use higher vocabulary words to show that, they're educated, but the main goal in writing is that your audience understands you. So you kind of limit your audience if you are using words that maybe everyone doesn't understand. And then the second part, so people who organize the communities called moderators, we like to add more information than the original sources tend to add. So not everyone might know what a moderator is or what they do for Reddit. So this is something that I added so people can understand a bit more about what Reddit is and can understand the piece better. So now we have a game, just a fun little synonym game. So if you're not familiar with synonyms, they are words that have similar meanings. And so this is also a bit like a vocabulary test in a way. So we'll have a more higher vocabulary word in the question and then simpler vocabulary words in the responses. And we're going to see how everyone does with figuring out some synonyms so you can get a little insight into what I do with work.
And we've got 16, 17 players ready to play with us. So you've got 30 seconds for each question. So be fast and smart as you are. Okay. 19 players, 20 players. Everybody likes quizzes.
Yeah, come on, people, join. We need more.
Oh my
And
gosh.
just have a look at those amazing avatars. They are so cute and funny.
They're funny.
Now I want to join just to have a little avatar.
Yeah, me too.
Just follow the link.
Oh,
Follow the
there's a
link
cat
Reddit.
finally. I mean, a domestic.
Okay.
Where's that?
Whew. I hope everything will work. Fingers crossed. Believe in you. Okay, ready, steady. Let's start the quiz.
Correct and fast, two conditions.
So what is another way to say allows? Like it allows me to do better at work might be a good example for that sentence. That was really fast. Okay. All right, you guys are smart. That was really good.
And permits is a word we have in our word book. We do not have the word allow, so we often switch that out.
Fantastic. Move to the next question. Okay, still we're ready. And 15 seconds. 90 meters is a tricky thing.
Uh-oh, I think we have two answers that are the same.
Do we? Oh, I wonder what happened there. All right, so this one was a little bit trickier. So for an example sentence might be, since I work at home, I must complete many of my projects in an unstructured fashion because I do not have the same access to equipment at work. So that gives, I think, a clearer understanding into what fashion may mean. In this example, it means way. So fashion,
or method.
So doing something in a certain fashion, it's like saying in a certain way or manner, like Katie said.
But remember, everybody, we learn from our mistakes.
And we made mistakes there because we had two of the same.
Yes.
3 people were right.
Yeah.
Fashion is an interesting word too, because we do, culture pieces a lot, and the word fashion comes up all the time, and each time we define it for people.
Okay, let's check the next question. Okay, even more players, fantastic. Just another chance to admire our avatars. And 15 seconds.
So topic was in the adapting example, if you remember back. So you can think about how I adapted that and what another meaning for topic could be, or another way to say. Yep, there you go. You guys see that one real fast. Perfect.
Okay, one more. Yeah.
So another way to say frustration.
Frustration is a feeling, if you're not familiar with it.
I bet they are.
I bet. So anger, yeah, frustration is a tricky one for us to adapt because frustration has a few different meanings, or it's an emotion that is made up of a few different emotions. So we tend to use anger for frustration. An example might be, I am frustrated at work today because my computer isn't working. So it could be like annoyed or angry or upset with something.
We don't have a lot of adjectives, adverbs, emotional talk, emotional type language, just because I think because we started out doing just, news, and you want to keep that out with no feelings, remember? In the news.
Let's find out what comes next. And it is one more question, yes?
Yes, this is our last question.
I'm not good at math, that's why. Just checking.
So the word is essential.
Oh, yeah.
This kind of came up quite a bit during the pandemic. So we talked about essential employees quite a bit during the pandemic. So needed, yes, needed or necessary, not unnecessary. They are special in a way, but needed is definitely the better answer for this one.
Great, and let's have a look at our leaderboard.
Oh, I didn't know you could do this.
Oh, this is so cool.
Wow.
Baby,
Yes, this is not all. So Yaroslav, congratulations.
Yaroslav.
Great
Who
job.
is Yaroslav? Can we see him or her? I don't know.
Okay. Let me stop sharing.
Oh, here, I'll stop the spotlight from, there we go.
Yaroslav, if you are with us, you can raise your hand and we will be.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
hello. So Yaroslav is your last name. Yes.
No, Yaroslav is my first name. I just heard it.
I got you. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Good work.
What grade are you in?
I just finished my 7th grade, and this autumn is going to be my 8th.
Great.
Great. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
So that's a difficult time of life, those middle school years. Teachers I know talk about it. My husband's a teacher and he teaches at middle school.
And for parents as well.
Yeah.
My daughter just has finished the 6th grade, so.
I am way out of that now. They're in college. I'm free.
So we've been asking you questions. Now it's your turn to ask us questions. So you can write them in the chat or just unmute yourself and ask a question.
Okay, Daria, please.
I wanted to ask Robin, what country's culture was most interesting to find out about?
Are you asking? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What country or culture has been most interesting for you to find out about? Go ahead, Greg. You want to?
Oh, yeah. I think for me, like the more years that I spend learning about other cultures, it's the cultures that I might not necessarily know the most about. Learning new things about cultures that I'm not exposed to is definitely the most interesting thing for sure. I think my interest for other cultures comes from my grandmother, who was Swedish, and then I studied abroad in Belgium, and learning in Belgium was really interesting. It exposed me to a lot of different ways of thinking, but since then, I've been trying to learn about the cultures that I might not have the easiest access to.
It's an excellent point.
And if I can answer that, I would say for me, Japanese culture was very interesting. That was the first time I lived outside of the United States. I went to Japan for 1 year, and then I came back after doing my doctoral research. I came to do my doctoral research there and lived there for 6 years. But that first year, being outside of American culture, allowed me to see it more clearly and to understand how different it was from Japanese culture. So, good question, Daria.
I will say though that American culture is so varied. You know, it's hard to even use that term, like U.S. culture. And I think that that helps. I don't know. I think some Americans are very open to like discovering other places and other countries and the peoples of other countries because they also are surrounded in many parts of America by people from all over. I mean, it is a melting pot. So, you know.
Nation of immigrants.
Yes, exactly. But I
see
like to hear about the culture of students. I like to learn about the culture of young people and, you know, learning. That's a culture too.
So I think our next hand up was from Yulia.
Yes, thank you very much, first of all, for your dedication and for these brilliant stories. And you can see those letters on my bookcase, so Dr. Hill knows about them. That's from my final project. So my question is, what inspires you and who inspires you to continue working and to continue creating all those projects? So what and who? Thank you.
So Greg or Katie, would you
Yeah,
like to?
what inspires me? I think since starting this job, I have developed a newfound interest in studying the news. We work with the news, and now I read the news as much as possible, probably not to the best effects to me. I read the news at night, which I don't suggest. Sometimes can keep you up, but and Jill also is a mentor to me, and she inspires me too. She's definitely an expert, and I learn a lot from her. And Katie also inspires me. She's such a great person, and working with her is wonderful.
Very kind. I find I find just, I don't know, language itself is very inspiring. And I mean, certainly, I can't tell you what it means to me, at least, the comments that I read from people all over the world, the letters we used to get, snail mail letters, I mean, hundreds a week. And, you know, that really helps buoy a person's spirits if they know that they are connecting with people and they do understand what they're saying. I mean, we are asking so much of our audience in a way. I mean, I can't listen to a radio newscast in Ukrainian. I mean, I wouldn't understand anything. So I'm very inspired by the connections that I keep making. It really does. I mean, we're paid employees. I mean, I work because I need to, you know, pay bills and eat. But what keeps
We're working for that big money.
Is yeah, exactly. It's really the audience. It's just making that connection. It feels amazing when you all even drop us one line, one comment, one good question, one correction. Get corrected by people all the time, people who do not speak English as a first language. That inspires me. So you guys do. You're the reason. So.
Yeah, and especially when we were working with Ukrainian teachers through GoGlobal earlier this year, that really inspired me. The conditions that you are working under, you know, the challenges that you have to stop before an air raid siren and break your class up. It's to me, I'm very inspired and want to do a better job for people like you. We had a question from Oksana. Did you still have a question? You had your hand up. And then we've got one from Rotash in the chat. Oksana, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like just, what was just the most amazing and what was the newest that you met working with Ukrainian children?
What was this amazing and what?
The newest that you have never met working with other children.
Oh, okay. Actually, this is the first time that we've had a chance to meet with Ukrainian children. We've only done workshops with Ukrainian teachers before, but when we heard about the Ukrainian students from the teachers, we you know, our hearts went out to them when we heard about, you know, how much time they have to spend in the shelters. And we gave teachers some suggestions for things that would help them to pass the time in the shelters.
Still, I want to say that this hardness gives us chance to learn more. We have learned so much for this year. We haven't learned for the last 5 years, I see.
And people say that Ukrainian businesses and other organizations are going to show the world how much you have learned and how creative you've been in overcoming the challenges. You know, that when you come out of this conflict, you're going to shine. I see you have your hand up again. Daria, but let's get to Rotash's question in the chat. It's for Greg. Can you see that? My question to Gregory.
Yeah, I can see it. So I think for me, the best way that
Can
I
you say the
prepared to,
question?
Yeah, go ahead and read the question.
oh yeah, of course. He asked, did you use some specific methods to become so good at communication? And a method that I used for today was preparation. I used a script, so I wrote out what I wanted to say, and then I referenced it. So I looked at it to make sure I was following the points that I wanted to communicate. That is one method to become good at communication.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Daria, did you have another question you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about, are you sometimes maybe worried when you think about that amount of people that are listening what you say or watching what you're doing? Is it sometimes worry you? Like,
Dr. Jill, can I answer that?
Go ahead, yeah.
Or could you maybe explain to Daria what I was like this morning when I called you first?
Katie was stressed out.
I was completely anxious. I had prepared, but I knew I would do what I do. This is my personality. I write something out, but unlike Greg, who is a darn good professional, I lose track. I don't watch it. I like to just sort of talk. So yes, it does produce anxiety because we want to, we want to help and not be all like, I don't know. It's hard when the attention is sort of on you, right? Even if you're just reading a story that has no connection to you, you're reading it on the radio or you're reading it on TV. Yeah, it produces anxiety. Sure. But you can use that anxiety. I think I did today, right? You can use that anxiety to give you a little oomph.
But, a lot of the times when we're making a video, as you saw, we're standing in front of a green screen. We're just talking to the camera or we may even be at home with nobody around and just have a camera set up. And we sometimes forget that we're doing this for millions of people.
And it's fun and collaborative and you feel like everybody's goofy at it.
Yeah.
Something else to mention. Oh, sorry, Katie.
Okay.
Something else to mention too is like a concern that I have is that possibly other governments are watching what I write about. I do have some concerns, and other coworkers of ours share these concerns who have worked with certain governments, that those governments are watching what we write about them. And I mean, it happens that journalists, when they enter another country, that they're arrested. So it is a concern that I sometimes have, but fortunately, a lot of our material is not written by us first. So the attention is not so much on us, it's on the Associated Press and Reuters. So that's another concern that we sometimes have.
And we have our own newsroom that we get, that we have our own reporters and we use their works too. But yeah, it does takes the pressure off a little. I agree, Greg.
Yeah, learning English, I don't think people take issue so much with trying to teach English. So that is something that does keep us safe.
They don't care about the present progressive tense.
Well, and also, I will say something. The simpler, it doesn't have to be VOA learning English, but whatever news media you're watching or listening to or reading, whatever it is, you'll notice that the more simple the writing, the shorter the sentences, the simpler the vocabulary, the limited vocabulary. I don't care who's producing it. When you see those qualities in something you're reading or something you're watching, you know it's going to be more accurate, more do you know what I mean? More fact-based, because it's just simple, short. We're trying to get, you know, a very certain fact out. I guess what I mean is it's harder to editorialize in stories. You don't characterize things as much, so you can really tell the truth more easily, or the truth that you found more easily.
Yeah. So I've put a few things in the chat, and I just want to share on the screen how to get in touch with us. You can write to us. I've given you our email, learningenglish@voanews.com. You can subscribe to our daily podcasts. I've given you the link for that. You can sign up for our newsletter, and I think I can, let me get the newsletter here. The link for that for you. That gives you the 4 or 5 new stories that you can get each day in email. That's our newsletter. And our word book has those magic 1,500 words in it. Let me do a new share for that. Here's our word book. And you can see it has specialized things like computer terms and supplements of chemicals and business or government-oriented terms, and it's illustrated. And the meanings are all simple sentences as well. The definitions don't make you have to go to the dictionary for another definition. So I'll put that into the chat there too. You can download that and refer to it as you're reading our stories on our website.
And when we use non-special English language, we bold the word. If you're looking online, you can see it's bolded, and then we'll define it down at the bottom of the story of the article.
And it must be dinner time there. I see some people have had to leave. How about our hosts? Do you guys have to go home now? Or go over to the kitchen?
Yeah.
Yes, there are some places. Okay, so we would like to say thank you, Jill, Casey, Gregory, for being so devoted, for being so dedicated, for being GoGlobal friends, and for being great friends of Ukrainian people. So thank you for that support. And it's a continuous support, and we do hope that it will just go on. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories, your energy, your drive with us. And dear participants, thank you so much for being so active and supportive. You are the best. Stay safe, keep in touch, and see you in the nearest futures.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. It was
Bye,
wonderful
everyone.
meeting everybody.
Yes,
Bye.
thanks so much for having us.
Have a nice day.